Hey friends, welcome to One Little Coder. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to build agents using DeepSeek R1. DeepSeek R1 is this new model from this Chinese company called DeepSeek, and this is one of the best thinking models. And the best part is they've also released the distilled version of this model. That means you can run it completely locally. So what we are going to do in this tutorial is that we're going to completely local, like no internet required at all, except for the first installation. We're going to build two kinds of agents. One is a text-to-SQL agent. Imagine you're working in a company and then you've got a lot of database, and then you want an agent that can write SQL for you, run SQL for you, give you the response back so that you can probably fire somebody like me who's a data scientist. And two, we're going to run a very simple agent so that you understand how to build the agent in the first place. This is like learning alphabets in your kindergarten. So we're going to do these two things, and the framework that we're going to use for this is a framework from Hugging Face called SmolAgents, small, S-M-O-L, SmolAgents. So we're going to use a SmolAgent with LMStudio that is going to power us to use DeepSeek R1's distilled version of Qwen model. So this tutorial requires a lot of attention, so I will strongly encourage you to watch it closely. The first prerequisite for this is that you have to have LMStudio installed and a DeepSeek model up and running. So this is a tutorial that I recently published. I'll link the tutorial. I don't want to repeat it again. I'll give you a very small intro about it. But once we do that, rest everything is that you can do this yourself. I will share the code also with you so that you don't have to copy and paste it from my video tutorial. To start with, the very first thing that you have to make sure that you are doing is you have to make sure you have got LMStudio, which is an interface that we use to run the model. And once you go to LMStudio, you have to make sure two things. One, when you go to the chat window, you need to make sure that the DeepSeek R1 distilled model, whatever model that you're using, is loaded. So you should see this eject button. That means the model has been successfully loaded. The second thing that you have to make sure is when you go to the second tab. So the first one is chat. The second one is the developer tab. When you go there, you should see the status that says it is running. That means in this particular endpoint, the model is available for us to use. So one, we have to make sure the model is loaded. Second, we have to make sure at this particular endpoint, this model is already available. And this is the name of the model. So these are the two things that you have to make sure before you dive into this tutorial. If you do not know how to make this happen, I'll link the video in the YouTube tutorial, YouTube description for you to get started. Once this is done, we'll come back to this again. Now I'm going to move into my Visual Studio Code. I have written it as a Jupyter notebook. You can do anything you want. If you want to run it as a Python script, well and good. I will link the Jupyter notebook and also the Python script as a GitHub repo, so you can just download and run it. So first step, LMStudio DeepSeek R1 Qwen model is running, up and running, and it is being served as an endpoint. Once that is done, the second thing that you have to do is you have to install SmolAgents. So pip install SmolAgents. In my case, everything is happening within an environment, within a virtual environment. So all the things that I'm doing is going to go inside it. So the only requirement for this tutorial is SmolAgents. After you have successfully installed SmolAgents, then you have to do from SmolAgents, import code agent and import OpenAI server model. Why it is required? First of all, OpenAI server model is required for us to create the model that is going to be used as part of the agent. Now, a very quick introduction about the agent in this particular case. An agent has only two things that are required. One is it requires tools. The second thing is it requires models. A model is going to be the communication core that is going to help the agents talk to each other or help the agent access the tool and then get things done. So there is an objective, there is a model. The model is going to look at the objective, indicate what is to be done, and then make the objective happen or make the task happen, the action happen with the use of tools. So as you can see here in this code, I have not given any tool. So this is a bare minimum, the most basic. It's like literally you went to a kindergarten and then learned how to write A without using a computer key. So that is what this tutorial is. So for that, we have to first create the model in itself. So if you go see this code, I've got OpenAI server model, and in the model ID, I've given the Qwen 7 billion parameter distilled model, which is the DeepSeek R1 Distill. Where does this model come from? If you go to your LMStudio, this is exactly the model name. So you can copy the model name here and that is the model name. So if you happen to use a different version of Distill model, this is exactly the place where you have to go change the model R1 model name accordingly. So you can make any change there. So whatever model that you're using there, you can use that. The next one is the API base from where the model is being served. So this is again coming from here. The model is being served from this URL. So you can see 127.0.0.1:1234, which is the port number. So in my local computer, this is exactly the port where the model is being served. So that is our API base, and the key for which, this is like the pass key. This is API key LMStudio. Imagine you want to move this code into an OpenAI compatible or OpenAI itself. You want to do GPT-4o. All you have to do is change the API base to OpenAI API. Then you will have an API key something sk dash something something, and in the model you can say GPT-4o with the code. So as simple as that, this code can be translated into a production ready code if you were to move this into a server without using your local computer. But right now this tutorial is basically, I've designed this for you to run it on your local computer, even if you have not got a powerful computer and even if you have not got a GPU. So just to repeat, from SmolAgents, import code agent, which will help us run the code, and then import OpenAI server model, which is to design the model in itself. So we have designed the model. There are three important parameters: model ID, which is the DeepSeek R1 model; API base, which is the endpoint locally within our computer where the model is being served through LMStudio; and then API key, of course, it is LMStudio. Once the model has been defined, then you have to define the agent. The agent in this case is code agent. We are not giving any tools at this point. Tool is just a list, Python list. You can give multiple tools. I'm going to show you how to create the tool next, but for now, we are going to not give any tool at all. Then you are giving model. The model is basically the model in this case. And if you want to add any base tool that comes as part of SmolAgents, like code execution and all those things, you can add it there. Now, all you have to do is you have to go here and then give whatever that task you wanted to complete. So in this case, I've just given a very simple example question. Can you give me the 118th number in Fibonacci sequence? This is like your university placement or, lab question. I don't know if you have got like lab and all like this. We used to write code like this. So you can just go here and give. When I gave this thing, it took 39 seconds in this case, because one, DeepSeek R1 is a thinking model. It goes through the thought process, generates the code gets executed, finally you get the response back. So if you see here, could you give me the 118th number in the Fibonacci sequence? This is the model. It gets the code, executes the code, and you get the final answer. Overall, it took 39 seconds. Input token is 2137. Output token is 1368. Except you do not even need internet to run this, because everything in this case is happening locally within your computer. No data is leaving unless until LMStudio is doing something. So I'm going to show you another example. So instead of 118th, I can show probably, could you give me the, let's say 5th? Oh, sorry, I'm editing there. Could you give me the 55th number in Fibonacci sequence? I hope this works. Run it. As you can see here, I ran it. It is running. And when you go to LMStudio, this is one thing that I wanted to see. You can actually see the developer logs. So when we ran this here, this is actually being run through LMStudio. So you can go see here what is happening here. So at this point, it is done. It took more than a minute in this particular case. There was some error at the start. So step 0, there was an error. It took 2 minutes, 9 seconds. There was an error here. But as you can see here, one of the reasons why we use an agent instead of just a simple LLM, it goes through multiple iterations until it finds the answer. So it found a code and then it ran the code, and it is giving me the final answer as this number, ChatGPT, and then ask it same question, GPT-4o, and ChatGPT has got this internal code execution engine where it can run this. So I'm going to paste this, and it is running the Python code and it is giving us the answer. So 1395838. So let's see here, what is the answer? 1395838624445. Okay, so we have successfully finished the first bare minimum agent. Now you might have a question, dude, like you said agent, like how is it an agent? So okay, first of all, it's not a sophisticated agent, like I would definitely agree. But the entire point of this tutorial is not for me to show you how to have sophisticated agent, rather first show you the bare minimum. What is the bare minimum here? So first of all, we learned that Okay, using SmolAgent, how you can configure DeepSeek R1. Second, you can see that you can add new tools and there are some base tools part of it. And then it actually runs the code itself for you, because when you said agent.run, it does it for you, then gives you the final output back. Now, this is the second part of the tutorial, slightly more advanced, where we are going to learn how to expand this into a text-to-SQL engine. I honestly believe this is one of the lowest hanging fruit in any enterprise, any company. We've got a lot of data scientists sometimes you have got data analysts whose only dedicated job is to run a SQL code when there is somebody from executive team asking something, get the response back, give it to them. I'm not saying that this is all what data scientists do, but this is something that data scientists do. So what we are going to do right now is we are going to define our own agent with a tool that can write a SQL code, but using LLMs, and then we are going to execute using DeepSeek R1. First of all, we need to create a dummy table. So I'm going to create a dummy table in this particular case. So my dummy table has got 4 columns: receipt ID, customer name, price, tip. The table name is receipts. So the table name is receipt ID, customer name, price, tip. Once we created all those, we are going to insert 4 values to it. 4 customers: Alex Payne, Alex Mason, Woodrow Wilson, Margaret James. These are the amount that they have paid in the invoice, and this is the tip that we have given. Obviously, this is US data, so somebody has to give tip there. So this is just like normal stuff. If you use SQL Alchemy, we have created a table, inserted 4 rows. And you can also see what kind of values, attributes. These are like columns, attributes. Receipt ID is integer, customer name is varchar. Varchar is like string if you don't know SQL. Price is float decimal point, tip is float decimal point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use SmolAgents and create a tool. So when you create a tool, it is very important for you to give as many details as much as possible, and also make sure that the tool name and everything is like English, so that the agent can read the tool well and then do things for you. So we have created an SQL engine, and this is by using tool, and we have got a tool decorator, allows you to perform SQL queries on the table, returns a representation of result. The table name is receipts, its description as follows, and all the details about it. So if you are a part of a company and then you want to do this for your company, this is exactly where you give your schema. So this is the part where you define the schema so that it understands, or table description. If you run any SQL code that shows table description, this is exactly where you do it. And arguments, query to perform, and this should be a correct SQL. This is exactly what our LLM is going to generate and then give it to it. And then once you have the output, you're going to print the output. Now the SQL engine is designed. Now we have from SmolAgents, we are importing 2 things exactly like before, a code agent and the OpenAI server model. And this code is exactly same like before. So you can see it is exact, like no difference at all. The same model that we are using. And yeah, so we have got the same model, same API base, same API key. This is the model. And the only change that you would see here is in the tools, we have added the SQL engine, and the SQL engine description basically comes from the function that we have created. So we have one active tool. I will make a tutorial. If there is any interest, I'll make a tutorial with the multi-agent system. But for now, this is one tool, one model. And then we are going to just simply go ask a question. Can you give me the names of customers starting with A? One of the mundane question anybody can ask a SQL analyst. But let's go ahead and then ask. And it says, okay, can you give me the names of the customer starting with A? It goes through a process, writes the SQL, in this case, select customer name from receipts, where customer name like A percentage. This is all completely written by DeepSeek R1 locally within my computer, not even the highest quality Distill model. And then it executes it and finally gives me the output, Alan Payne, Alex Mason. So I'm going to go ahead and then ask a different question. Let's go take a look at the data. And okay, maybe what we can do is we can say, okay, give me the price and tip of the customer whose name has got James. Okay, so give me the price and tip of the customer whose name has James. Let's see. Though the catch here is that I don't know what kind of case sensitivity it is going to handle when it is writing. So that is something that we need to see. But for now, what I'm expecting in response is like to give me the James's price and tip. So which is James's or Margaret James. That is another thing. Price is 21, tip is 1.00, and you can go to this, you can go to LMStudio and then see that it has started already writing the code. Going back to this, it is writing the code execution failed. Once again, the code execution failed. That's quite bad. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, select price and tip from receipts with a customer name like James. Honestly, this is correct. Very surprising. The code execution failed at line. Okay, why are they printing row 0? Okay, maybe it is the SQL alchemy thing. When it is trying to translate it, it is. Yeah, I don't think this will work, to be honest. The SQL code is correct, to be honest. I think the way we have designed the SQL engine has some issue. Select star from receipts where customer name, like the SQL code is perfect. So it's giving one final chance. This query selects. Yeah, it didn't work out. So I have to say sorry to the small agent in this particular case. This is always the case with the live demo, so you get to see what is going wrong. This is one last time. Oh my goodness. This is one last time we are going to see if it is working. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to stop it and then ask a slightly different question. Maybe can answer. So we have taken 1 minute 47 seconds so far. And so far the input token is okay. Code execution failed on line 3 due to syntax error. What is the syntax error on line 3? Okay, this is done. So I'm going to interrupt this. I'm going to be like, I don't want more mystery. The SQL code is correct. Okay, in all fairness, DeepSeek R1 did a good job. But I think when it wrote the Python code, something has happened. So let me first run this and then see what is happening. I don't know if I can run this. Let's see. Code, run this. Sorry. Python and indentations. Okay, let me run the query result. Okay, so we have got query result like this. So it has done a good job. I think it had difficulty in getting the price here and this. Okay, let me go ask a different question. Now we have got all these things. I'm going to just say, can you give me the average tip rate? Okay, can you give me the average tip? Average tip. Okay, that should be fine. Let's do it. So I've said, can you give me the average tip? So what underneath it is going to do is it's going to, as you can see here, you can see the thinking process. All right, I need to figure out why the user is getting syntax error. Bro, you don't have to do. Okay, that was before. Okay, that was like the previous one. I was like, why do you have to figure out this thing? Okay, here it is doing all the things. It is looking for the table. It is looking. Oh, done. It's already done. Is this even right? Okay, I'm going to go back here. I've got a calculator and 1.20 plus 0.24 plus 5.43 plus 1.00 equals divided by 4, which is 1.9675. 1.96. Perfect. At the precision of 999999998. Okay, okay, you have done a good job. I can stop you here. I can stop you here. So you get the point. The point is, you can give the schema, you can give the table description, you can give a task, and then it is going to try to do it and finish it. There are multiple more things you can do, like you can reduce the number of retries, you can introduce new tools. There are a lot of things you can do, but my objective with this tutorial, I guess, is fulfilled. At this point, if you have any question, let me know in the comment section. But what we try to do is, we first try to initiate DeepSeek R1, the distilled model version, through LMStudio and served it in the local endpoint. Everything here is local, except, first time you had to install LMStudio, download the model, and then also install SmolAgents. Then we used a framework from Hugging Face called SmolAgents, and then try to create the most basic, like the stupidest agent that you could create. And I mean, like, I might be shameful to call it agent itself, but we created the agent, we created the model, and then we tried to get a Fibonacci sequence. And then once we did that, then finally we have created a text-to-SQL engine, again using DeepSeek R1 Distill model, completely local. Let me know what you think about this. If you want me to develop something else, like something that can fit in my local computer, let me know. I'm always looking for use cases and I can code it for you and then make a video tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. See you in another video. Happy prompting.